with everyone making masks these days, and now that I need one myself, I had to come up with a pattern because the other ones did not fit my face as well as I would have hoped. So there is a free partial in the hoop embroidery pattern that is in my group, and what it is for one of these fitted style kinds of masks. So there is a casing part at the top, easier to see on this one. So you put the wire there, and you have a little tunnel area that you can put the elastic. This one is meant to go over the head the way I have it, but you can put the ear style in. And it is more of a form-fitting kind of mask. All right, so this is the one I'm going to be doing in the video today. All right, so let's get started on that. Here we go with the partial in the hoop mask. Just remember, there is sewing. So what we need is we need some sort of an elastic for the mask. I like doing a one long piece so that it goes around the head, but you can do ear pieces if that's what you prefer. You need a scrap piece of material for the nose bridge metal area. And here I actually have a little piece of wire that is sandwiched in between some iron-on stabilizers. I just did it that way so it make it easier, and it has a little bit of a, I don't know, a little more cushiony here. So that is what I have been doing for the nose pieces. Then you just need two pieces of material, one for the lining and one for the outside, and these are about 6 by 11 pieces. So there is no folds, there's not much, it's just a quick outline, and then you cut it out and stitch it together, but I will try and do this quickly. So the first thing first is I am going to run the placement stitch, and I have a piece of paper here which I'm running it on so that you guys will be able to see it, because I'm not using thread in my machine for this. I know not all machines can do that, but mine does, and I prefer it. All right, off to the machine I go to do the placement stitch. There we have it. I think you can see it clearly enough. There we go. I have run the placement stitch. So this curved part is the center area that will be going in the center of the face. That will have to be sewn on the machine. This part up here is this is the top area for the top of the nose. This is where the metal bridging will go. And these side parts are where the casing, they get folded over, and then the casing of the elastic will go in there. So the next thing that we have to do is take your main piece of fabric and put it on top of your placement stitching. Make sure you cover it all up and tape it down. I do not suggest using 505 spray. It will make it difficult to take off the stabilizer. So go ahead and just tape it down and run the tack down to hold this in place. And there we have it. The stitching is done for the tack down. A little hard to see because it's white, but it is there, and you will need that stitching to be able to cut out the line of right here. So the next thing that we have to do is we need to turn it over to the back, and there was the spot that we had here for the nose bridge area. Hard to see without stitching. All right, so that is where my nose bridge area is. Here's the top. So the next piece that we have to do is you need to take the casing that's going to hold that nose bridge in place, and we're going to just tack it down. And then take it back to the machine and run the 3 sides that are going to tack that into place. Back at the table, Here we have the front part showing the casing and the back part. So the best thing to do right now is to take off the bottom and the sides. You need to leave the top where the rounded portion is. It needs to catch in the neck sewing. All right, so I just roughly cut that just so there's not so much bulk in there. So the next thing that we have to do is whatever piece that you're going to be using, and remember this is the back of the hoop, whatever piece you're going to be using, like I said, I just have a tiny little wire in here and the ends have been folded over. So whatever you're using, you can go ahead and put that in. I know some people use this. I don't have it in front of me, but one of the other things that I have been using is the ties at the top of like the coffee bags. They're really good. Anyhow, since I cannot find that, I am going to be using this piece here. And so you just take it and you push it in there and push it down to the bottom. And you want to make sure that when you're putting it in there, it's going to be out of the stitching area, which is going to be the exact same that just went through. So you'll be able to see. So just push that out of the way, tape it in place, and then we'll do that. All right, so that's in there. So the next thing that we have to do before we put it back on the machine is you need to get your lining piece of material. So you need to get it so that the right side is face down and together, and you put it over top and you tape it into place. And then you take it back to the machine and run the final stitch that's going to go all along the outside. It's not going to stitch the inside, and it is going to leave a turning hole over here. Here we have the stitching is done, and this is what it is supposed to look like on the front, and this is what we have on the back. So now is a good time to take off the tape and just cut the top seam of this casing bit because you want less bulk in the seam up there. So the back is done there. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to take it out of the hoop. There we have it. Just show you, I have taken it out of the hoop, and there was a method to the madness, the reason I took it out this way. So if you haven't checked it out yet, I suggest you go check out Sweet Pea Embroidery, and they have a tutorial on using stabilizer like this, and it helps you save, especially for these masks. It will definitely help you save on stabilizer. All right, so here we have it. It's out of the hoop. Stabilizer, mostly gone. All right, so this is what we have. This is the turning hole. So what you need to do is, one, I always like to start with turning holes, so I make sure I get them. So just cut yourself your turning hole. All right, so what I did here was I just drew along the line so you can see where the stitching is, because I can see it, but I don't think you can see it on here. So we have the stitching here that comes down the center. So what you need to do is you need to cut that right on the stitching. You can leave the stitching intact, but I would definitely suggest going very close to that. It makes it easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out. So that's what we have here. So you can see it's now open. There we go. So you want to make sure that you cut on that stitching, okay? Now, for the next part, what we're going to do is you're going to cut on the outside. So you're going to leave yourself about 1 centimeter to 1/4 inch, and you're going to go ahead and cut all the rest of that out. So there we have it. I have all my curves, or all my little notches in the corners clipped out. So now is the time that I find it best to at least iron these seams into place. Now that we have that ironed into place, the next thing that we have to do is we need to stitch up the center. So what you need to do is you need to take it with the right side, and I just fold this there, fold it back on itself. So you have something where the outside is showing, and then you take your center parts and you put the center part like this. You spread your seam open just a little. There we go. So you do that on both sides, match them up, pin along here, and pin along here to keep it together. So there we have it. We have it pinned from this opening to this opening with the right sides together. So now all you need to do is you need to take it to the machine, and you need to start at the top here, go over. So you stitch 1/4 in, you stitch a seam allowance of 1/4 inch to 1 centimeter on the inside. So you start up here, go all the way around, and you'll come out over there. All right. There is the stitching around the inside completed. Make sure that you kind of do this open while the seams are open so you don't get too much bulk there. So now the next thing that we need to do is we need to just cut off a little bit of excess and notch, and then we'll turn it inside out. So there you have the 3D look of the mask. All right. So the next thing that we need to do to close everything up is you just need to go ahead and you need to top stitch it. So when you're top stitching, make sure that your metal is not going to be in the way. So what we need to do here for these side casings is you just need to take it, and I suggest flipping it to the front so you get a better seal on the back. So you're just taking it and flipping it over, just kind of so that these top edges kind of line up, or however thick it is you think you need. And I usually just iron and I just clip it. All right, so now we need to take it back to the machine and do a top stitching around, which is going to close the hole, and it's also going to create the casing. So what I do is I like to start at the top for me, and I'm going to start right here. So then I'm going to go all the way along the top, make sure nothing to hit the metal. And when you come down here, you take a turn and you come down this part, not over here, but you must stitch this side. Okay, and then you come all the way back around and you do the same thing over here. You stitch down this side. All right. All right, you guys, so the mask is now sewn together. You know which part is the top because it has the wire. So we have that up there. That is the inside. So this is the outside. And like I said, I think for me, it's better to have this to be flat. That's why I've rolled it to the outside so that it sits flat along the face. All right, so if you're like me and you want the long cord, you just need a piece of elastic. I know that can be hard to come by these days, so not everybody can do it this way, but I take my piece of elastic and I keep the loop at the bottom. So this is the top part where the nose is. Try that better. Top part where the nose is, bottom part. So then I take my elastic and I just pull it up through. This is now done, and what you need to do to fit it is you put it around your head. So this piece down here goes over your neck, and then so it goes up over your head and around your neck, and then you need to tie this on top of your head and fit your mask that way. This is how I have been doing them, and I like it. It fits my family well. We all have different faces, so it may or may not work for you. However, it is available for download in my group. I hope you give it a shot and see if you like it for yours, if you've been having trouble like me, and give me a thumbs up if you liked my video. So have a wonderful day. Thanks, guys. So now that the mask is completed, the basic one, I decided to go in and make an adjustment, well, kind of like a hack to my own pattern. So I know some people would prefer to have the piece for the noseband on the top. So I just wanted to show you what I did was, when you're putting on the piece that goes underneath the hoop as the casing, instead of that, I put a piece of clear plastic over the top, and I did not go over this edge. I went over just a little bit so that I would have an opening, and then I could slide my piece of metal, whatever it is, on the outside. And then if it breaks, you can take it out and slide another one in. So that is just one little small hack that I just wanted to show you for the pattern in case you want it on the outside. All right.